There is a sign that has appeared mysterious to the world, but clear to those who watch, a sign that speaks not in the language of man, but in the language of God, a sign that has pierced the veil of the present, to declare the time is near. There comes a moment in the unfolding of prophetic time when the scattered voices of warning become a single trumpet. A moment when what once seemed random, disconnected, and isolated begins to merge, align, and take form. That moment is now, and what we are witnessing is not just the appearance of signs. It is the convergence of the signs. Imagine a clock hanging in the heavens, not marked by numbers but by divine events. Not ticking with seconds, but with the steps of nations, the shifting of powers, the trembling of the earth, and the shaking of the heavens. For centuries, the hands of that clock have moved steadily, almost invisibly, turning through the ages. But now they are racing. Now the clock is nearing the appointed hour. The hands are converging at midnight. There have always been signs, but never have they come together as they do now. It is as if every prophecy that once pointed to the end is now standing at the door. Israel is not just a name in a book. It has returned from the grave of history. A nation that once ceased to exist now lives again, a miracle among the nations, a signal that the fig tree has blossomed. But Israel is only one branch on the tree of convergence. The world itself has turned upside down. What was once unthinkable is now common. What was once hidden in shadows now parades in daylight. The ancient altars have returned, not made of stone, but of screens, ideologies, and agendas. The moral compass has shattered, and the culture celebrates the very things that once brought down empires. And the nations rage. The alliances are forming, the powers rising, the threats multiplying. Like tectonic plates shifting beneath the surface, the world stage is being set for the final conflict. Wars and rumors, a spirit of lawlessness spreading like smoke through the cities of man, and then the earth groans. Fires, plagues, storms beyond record. The very planet, it seems, is reacting to the weight of sin, to the nearing of judgment. Even the natural order speaks, declaring that something is coming, or rather, someone. And in the midst of all this, there is a cry, a whisper, a call not from man, but from the throne, a call to wake, a call to rise, a call to prepare. The signs are not a coincidence. They are not accidents. They are not natural. They are supernatural. And they are converging not on a year or a theory, but on a moment. The final hour will not wait for the world to be ready. It will not delay for the church to become serious. It will come like lightning across the sky. But before that hour, there is always a sign. Before the shaking, a warning. Before the return, a voice crying in the wilderness. We are no longer in the season of scattered signs. We are in the moment of convergence. Everything is moving. Everything is aligning. The days of comfort are fading. The illusion of normalcy is cracking. The storm is not coming. It has begun. And now those who have ears must hear. Those who have eyes must see. Not with natural senses, but with the eyes of the watchman, the heart of the prophet. For the convergence of signs is not to stir fear, but to awaken urgency. It is the voice of the bridegroom drawing near. The day is late. The lamps must be trimmed. The oil must be filled. Because what was once coming is now here, there is a mystery, a sacred rhythm, that has played out from the beginning of time. A divine pattern embedded into the history of nations and the journey of man. It is the pattern of judgment. And if you know the pattern, you can see what is coming. God does not strike without warning. He does not judge in the dark. Before every shaking, there is a whisper. Before the sword, there is a sign. And before the fall, there is always a chance, one final chance, to turn. The pattern is not hidden. It is engraved into the rise and fall of kingdoms. It is written in the stories of cities long buried beneath the sands of time. A people rise in blessing. They grow in power, in wealth, in might. But with the blessing comes forgetfulness. With prosperity comes pride, with ease comes rebellion, the sacred becomes common, what was once honored is mocked. Truth is trampled, the ways of God are cast down, and what follows is always the same, a warning, a sign. A prophet sent to cry out to call the nation back before the shaking, but if the voice is ignored, the shaking begins. The pattern does not change, it never has. Look to the ancient empires, they all walked this road. They turned their backs, hardened their hearts, and then came the fall. Not always in a day, but always in a moment when the scales tipped, a moment when the window closed, a moment when the divine warning became divine judgment, and now the pattern is playing out again. But not just in one nation, this time it is global. The signs are multiplying, but they are not random. They are part of the pattern, the increase in chaos, in lawlessness, in moral confusion. It is the progression of a people moving toward judgment. And yet, even now, there is mercy. That too is part of the pattern. The warnings are not wrath, they are love. They are the hand of the Father reaching out before the storm breaks. He gives time, he sends signs. He shakes the ground, not to destroy, but to wake up his people. But how long will the warnings be ignored? How long will the call be mocked? How long will the window remain open? We stand now not at the beginning of the pattern, but at the final stage. The moment when the signs converge and the last chance approaches. This is not just history repeating, it is prophecy fulfilling. The same pattern that played out in ages past is now echoing in our day, only louder, only closer, only more complete. The harbingers have sounded, the alarms have been rung, and still the world slumbers, but the people of God must not. You who have ears listen to the sound of approaching footsteps. You who have eyes see the writing that once appeared on Babylon's wall now appearing again in the halls of this present age. This is the hour when the pattern reaches its climax, and the choice is before us again. To return or to fall. To repent or to face the whirlwind. The last sign is not only a warning, it is a mercy. It is the final echo before the silence, the final trumpet before the shaking. And if we miss it, we may miss the hour. So now is the time to discern. Now is the time to rise. Now is the time to prepare, because the pattern has returned and judgment follows the same road. But to those who see the signs, to those who know the pattern, there is hope. For those who return, even now, there is shelter in the storm. There is a silence that is not ordinary, a silence not of peace, but of warning, not of calm, but of tension. It is the silence that comes before the storm breaks, before the trumpet blasts, before the voice cries out across eternity. This silence is sacred. It happened before the flood when Noah finished the ark and the hammer ceased. No more wood to shape, no more animals to gather, just silence. The door was shut, the sky was clear. The people laughed, but heaven was silent. Then came the rain. It happened again before the destruction of cities and kingdoms. Before fire fell from above, before walls crumbled, before empires collapsed, there was always a moment of stillness. A pause, as if heaven itself was holding its breath. A space where time seemed to hesitate, waiting for repentance, waiting for return, waiting for the final word to be spoken. That moment is a gift, a window, a whisper. It is the final heartbeat before the world changes, and now we are in such a moment. The world thinks the silence means nothing will happen, that the delay means the warnings are empty. But it is the opposite. The silence is the final act of mercy before judgment, the lull before the shaking. Listen carefully, you can feel it in the air, a tension, a pressure, like creation itself is waiting. Like the ground beneath our feet is holding its voice, heaven is not absent, God is not far, he is nearer now than we realize. But he waits. Why does he wait? Because even now there is still time, time to repent, time to return, time to prepare. The silence is the moment when destinies can be changed, when the oil in your lamp can still be filled, when the prodigal can still come home. But this silence will not last forever. The trumpet will sound, The door will close, the voice will cry out not in a whisper but in thunder. The shout will come from the heavens, and it will change everything. That which is hidden will be revealed. That which is broken will be judged. That which belongs to him will rise. But until then the silence remains, and yet for those who walk with him the silence is not empty. It is filled with urgency. It is not quiet. It is shouting in the Spirit. It says, "Wake up, be ready, the bridegroom comes." This is the time to prepare, not to sleep. The time to watch, not to wander. The time to draw near, not to drift away. Those who discern the silence understand the times. Those who ignore it will be caught unready when the sky splits and the final call goes forth. So let not the stillness deceive you. Do not mistake delay for denial. This is not the absence of God. It is the restraint of his hand. It is the moment before the curtain is lifted and the king returns. It is mercy holding back the storm. It is grace giving space. It is love calling one last time. But when the silence ends, it will end with a shout. And all that was foretold will come, suddenly, irrevocably, eternally. Now is the time to trim your lamp. Now is the time to watch the horizon. Now is the time to listen, not with the ears of flesh, but with the Spirit. Because the silence will not remain, and when it breaks, it will break with glory. There is a deception in the hearts of many, an illusion that signs are only external, that they appear in the skies, in the shaking of the nations, in the wars and rumors, in the earthquakes and in the blood moons. And yes, the signs are there, loud, visible, undeniable, but there is a greater sign, a deeper sign, one that speaks not to the world but to the soul. The true sign is within. The sign is the awakening. Before the bridegroom appears in the heavens, he knocks on the door of the heart. Before the trumpet sounds in the sky, it sounds within the spirit. The last sign is not merely a storm or a war. It is the awakening of the remnant, the quickening of those who have ears to hear. There is a stirring in the midnight hour. Something ancient is waking. The Spirit of the living God is moving, not only in nations but in individuals. In hidden places, in the wilderness, in the inner chambers of those who have cried out for truth, those who have grown weary of the world's deception and long for the holy fire again. You can feel it, can't you? A restlessness, a divine discontent. The things of this world no longer satisfy. The noise, the glitter, the distractions, they fade, because something is awakening inside you. Something that was long asleep. That is no accident, that is the sign. The final days will not simply be marked by political chaos or global shaking, but by a rising within God's people. The dry bones will begin to rattle, the embers will begin to burn again, the sleeping virgins will open their eyes. The prodigals will feel the pull to come home, and those who once stood at a distance will be drawn into the fire. But here is the mystery. Not everyone will awaken. Some will hear the call, and others will sleep through it. Some will rise with fire in their eyes, and others will roll over and return to slumber. That is why the sign is personal. It doesn't come through the headlines. It comes through the whisper in your soul. It's not a meteor in the sky, but a trembling in the spirit. God is calling his people not just to watch, but to awaken, to leave behind the comfort of compromise, to strip away the garments of distraction, to wash their robes, to trim their lamps, to return to their first love. There is no time left for lukewarmness, no time for 1 foot in and 1 foot out. This is not the season for the half-awake. The final sign is sounding, and it is sounding in you. When the bridegroom comes, it will be too late to prepare. The door will be shut, the moment will pass, the separation will be made between those who were awake and those who were not. So now, the voice cries out not from a mountain or a television screen, but from within. Awaken, rise. Be ready. The time is near. This is not a time to fear. It is a time to burn, to rekindle the fire, to answer the call. The last revival will not be organized by man. It will be born of awakening, not by structure, but by spirit. Not by strategy, but by surrender. And if you are feeling it now, if your heart is stirring, if your soul is trembling, if your eyes are opening to things you could not see before, then you have seen the sign. You are the sign. And to those who awaken now, who rise in the night with oil in their lamps, they will not be shaken when the sky breaks open. They will not fear when the trumpet sounds. They will rejoice, for they are ready. There is a mystery hidden in the ways of God, a paradox that runs through every act of judgment. It is this: before the hand of judgment is ever lifted, the hand of mercy is always extended. Before the sword strikes, the door of grace opens. Before the end comes, the invitation is given, and that is where we now stand, at the edge of judgment, but still within the window of mercy. The window is not a thing made of glass or wood. It is a moment, a sacred moment, a breath of time suspended between two eternities. It is a space carved into the storm before it falls, and in that space God speaks not with thunder, but with a whisper. Not with wrath, but with pleading. This is not weakness, it is not hesitation, it is compassion. Even when the world turns its back, even when nations defy his ways, the heart of the Lord waits. Not because he cannot act, but because he desires that none should perish. And so he waits, but not forever. The window of mercy is never permanent. It is always limited, always closing. It is like the door of the ark, open until the moment it is sealed. And once it closes, no man can open it again. Can you sense it? We are living in that window now, a final mercy before the shaking, a final whisper before the shout, a final open door before the great and terrible day. You can see it in the signs around us, but more importantly, you can feel it in the stillness that hangs in the air. A stillness that isn't peace, it's decision. The Lord is calling, not just to the world, but to the individual. To you to return, to lay down your idols, to cleanse your heart, to awaken from slumber. The trumpet hasn't sounded yet, the sky hasn't split yet, the door isn't shut yet. That means there's still time, but not much. This is the mercy of warning, the mercy of delay. But we must not mistake delay for absence. The longer the mercy remains, the more urgent the call becomes, because when it ends, it will end in an instant. And that which was given freely will be remembered by those who ignored it too late. But to those who hear the whisper in this window, there is hope. It doesn't matter where you've been. It doesn't matter how far you've run. It doesn't matter how long you've slept. The window of mercy is wide enough to reach the prodigal, the broken, the rebellious, and the weary. It is a floodgate of grace waiting to be received, and this mercy is not just for escape, it's for purpose. Those who turn now will not only be saved from judgment, they will be used. In the days ahead, God will raise up those awakened in this hour to become voices in the darkness. Messengers of fire, lights to guide others through the storm. But the choice is now, because this window is closing. You can feel it. The winds are rising. The darkness approaches. The voice of mercy is still calling, but soon it will be the voice of the judge. So what will you do with the mercy you've been given? Will you return while there is still time? Will you rise while the door is still open? Or will you wait until the silence breaks and it's too late? Let the one who has ears hear this. The window is open, but the hinge is groaning. The door is ajar, but the threshold is near. The voice of mercy is calling, but the sky is growing dark. Now is the moment. Now is the hour. This is the window of mercy, and it will not last much longer. There is a word that echoes louder now than ever before. A truth not buried in mystery, but thundering through the silence of this hour. He is coming, not as an idea, not as a tradition, not as a distant hope. He is coming as a reality, as a king, as a judge, as the bridegroom. We have heard it so long, we've grown numb to it. The world mocks it. The church in many corners has forgotten it. But the ancient promise is not void. The trumpet has not been silenced. The sky is not eternally still. The king is not delayed forever. We are not waiting for something that might happen. We are approaching something that must happen. The return is not speculation. It is a divine appointment already written into the fabric of time. There is no pause button on what is coming. He came once in humility, but he will return in glory. He came once to be judged, but he will return to judge. He came once with pierced hands, but he will return with a sword and a crown. Is not the folklore. This is not metaphor. It is the culmination of all things, the fulfillment of every shadow, every sign, every mystery. And the signs now, all around us, declare it loudly. The hour is near. The great deception of the last days is not just sin. It is delay. The enemy whispers, not yet, not today, there's still time, but the warnings come not for tomorrow, they come for now. The Lord will not delay his coming for our convenience. The sky will not wait for the world to be ready. When the appointed time arrives, it will not ask permission, and when it happens, it will be sudden. Like lightning, like the flash of a sword, like the moment between two heartbeats, and those who are not ready will not be able to get ready. The trumpet will not sound a rehearsal. It will sound reality. The bridegroom will not knock twice. The heavens will open, and he will come not in secret, but in blazing fire. Every eye will see, every knee will bow, and everything hidden will be revealed. To the world his return will be terror. But to those who wait for him, it will be the joy of all joys, the moment of union, the embrace of eternity. This is why the signs matter, not because we seek drama, but because we live with urgency. The signs are not to entertain, they are to awaken. To call the church out of sleep, to summon the bride to trim her lamp, to gather the faithful for the final harvest. You feel it in your spirit, don't you? That pull, that whisper, that tension in the air, like the very ground beneath your feet is waiting to rise. It's not your imagination. It's the groaning of creation for the return of the King. And this is the hour when you must choose your side. Will you live like he's far away or like he's at the door? Will you prepare as if you still have time, or as if tonight could be the trumpet? Will you spend your days lost in the fog of this world, or burning with the fire of the coming kingdom? Because once the sky is torn open, once the eastern horizon glows with glory, there will be no turning back. The day of grace will be over. The judgment will begin, and only those who lived in the light will rise to meet him in the air. So I declare to you now, the King is coming, and not just soon, imminently, not in a distant age, but in this generation. Not to speak softly, but to roar as the lion, not to be crowned with thorns, but to be crowned with majesty. This is the end of the waiting. This is the end of the delay. This is the moment for which all of history was made. He is coming, prepare the way, and when the heavens open, let him find you watching.